We got a stuck needle and seat, so stick around. Hey guys, we've got a little project here. It's going to be a quick video on a simple rebuild for the stock DR650 carburetor, the Mikuni. I had my fuel start pouring out of the crankcase on this guy the other day, and I didn't leave the fuel valve on actually. It was off until I went to start the bike, and even with the bike running, it started overflowing. So I'm imagining we're going to find either a big piece of debris or a stuck float valve, needle and seat. So we're going to tear into this, and I'll be right back. Okay, first order of business here. We're going to basically assume that you guys can get the carburetor out of the bike. It's pretty straightforward. You got a couple hoses, and you loosen the clamps on either end, and you can kind of push the airbox adapter out of the way and squeeze it out of there. You also got to get the cables off. It's pretty straightforward stuff. Next thing, what we're going to do is we've got to get these loose. Now, I cracked them loose already on the float bowl, but if you can't get those loose with a screwdriver, don't mangle them. What works really good is a small pair of vice grips. You're gonna pinch it and lock it on there pretty good and just crack it loose. Once you get it loose, you should be able to get it with the screwdriver. So figure that's probably the best way that I've come across to do it. That's how I got these loose the first time. I have had this bowl off before. I had a little debris the first time when I originally got the bike. Oh, we've got my little block off hose is in the way here. We'll get that out of the way. Got some junk in there. It's kind of crummy looking, isn't it? I'm actually thinking that I've got some either debris in here, because I think I've got some degrading fuel lines. So when you look in here, for anybody that's not familiar with a carburetor, this sits in here like so on the bike, and then this level, as this floats up and down, that changes the level of fuel in the float bowl. And when it goes down like that, it's supposed to dump more fuel, and when it goes up, when the fuel level rises in there, that means you're not using very much fuel at that moment, so it's supposed to cut off the fuel flow. The problem is if you get debris in there, or you get a bad needle and seat down in that mechanism right there, if there's any little debris in where it seats, it will keep flowing fuel when it's not supposed to and choke your bike out and ultimately overflow fuel into the crankcase and everything, which is what happened to me. So it can be a pretty messy disaster, and it generally makes you not happy. And if it happens out on the trail, it can be a real nightmare, unless you've got a bunch of oil with you. So I'm gonna get a couple things loose here, and I'll be right back. All right, so what I did was I worked this loose, and this basically is gonna come pop. You're gonna pop that out, and you'll see you've got some little O-rings there. We'll use this as a pointer. You got a little O-ring there, little O-ring there. We're probably going to be replacing those. I bought a kit from ProCycle that replaces this whole thing. It's just easier to deal with. What I'm going to do next is we're going to take the main jet out, and we're going to blow air through all these passages and try and make sure that it's clean. And we just don't want anything to be getting in there and causing problems again after we fix this. Okay, so we cracked this thing loose. Pull the main jet out, and hopefully there's not a bunch of crud in there. We shall see here. A little spacer, I don't see anything obvious yet. I think we'll need to pull the needle out though, just to be sure. So the way we do that, oops, I'll get that out of the way, is we break these guys loose, if we can. Oh, okay, those are tight. All right, let me get something and I'll come right back. Okay, so we just had to get a slightly bigger Phillips to get these loose. I got that one. And then we'll try, I know I'm probably going off camera here, but there we go. So those are tight. Now when you take this cover off, this is where you're going to find your little vacuum diaphragm. And forgive me if I don't know all the terminology, because I might be calling these things the wrong names, but vacuum diaphragm is close enough, because that's basically what it is. Okay, now remember there's a spring in here, so you don't want to be letting that thing go flying anywhere. All right, so you're gonna pull that off. I lost a screw. There's the other one. All right, so there's our float bowl screws. There's the cover. Now this is the diaphragm, which also has the needle and seat. I'm sorry, the main needle. Here, pull this out. You've got a little bushing in there, and then that's your main fuel metering rod or needle. Okay, let's get that over by the, all right, there we go. You're going to want to inspect the diaphragm, make sure it's in good shape, it's nice and soft and pliable, and there's no tears, which I don't think there is because I had this apart not too long ago. And then we're basically going to come in with some air here. I might take out the little tiny jet. Yeah, we'll see. I guess I probably should. So I'm going to get a small screwdriver to pull that little jet out, and then we'll blow it out with air, and we'll basically be ready to go back together. One little thing that I wanted to mention is always make sure that the ends of your screwdrivers are fairly clean when you start doing this kind of stuff, because it would be very easy to introduce dirt or something like that into a passageway and cause more problems than you helped by taking things out. So there's our little tiny little jet. Okay, so we got our main jet, and I've got our, I guess you'd call that the idle jet or the primary jet. All right, so we should be able to maybe hit this with some carb cleaner. It's pretty good. I was in here not too long ago, so yeah, so that's more or less all you need to do to take it apart for the basics. I had a fuel overflow issue. The bike's running fine, so I know that it's most likely this. So we're just doing the other stuff just as preventative maintenance, and since you're in there, you should do it. So, all right, so I'm going to clean this up, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so we've got our new Mikuni kit here. Now this is supposed to come with everything we need for this and a few extras. The extras, as I understand it, are some better O-rings that will go on these locations, and then some Allen head screws so we don't have to deal with the Phillips head screws that are on the float bowl. So that's really nice, or on the top either. I believe it looks like it replaces both of them. So that's pretty cool. We've got a brand new diaphragm in here. I'm going to save this because that one's still good. I don't see any reason to replace it, so I'm going to save that. We've got, let's get all these little goodies out of here. So this is the factory Mikuni kit. So they give you screws to replace the ones that you just took out because they're probably mangled, but we're gonna use the Allen wrench style. So we will ditch those, and we'll keep this over here. We've got a fresh gasket for our float bowl. We've got some other little goodies in here. One of these O-rings, this little guy is that one there, which goes on this end up here. Don't ever forget that one or it won't work. So let me get a couple things opened up here and we'll get this stuff put in. All right, so we got our little spacer here, and then we've got our main jet. We'll pop that in and get it snug down where it's supposed to be. Let's tighten that guy up. This is a bit small on the screwdriver, but it's this one or a giant one. I don't have an in between, so you just want it tight enough that it's not going to come out. Nothing crazy. You don't want to split things or break stuff. All right. Now this is the little tiny jet. I'm guessing this is the idle air jet. And it's a very tiny little hole. One thing, I don't know if you probably won't be able to see it on the camera, but you want to look up to a light bulb or a light source and make sure that the hole is clear. You know, look down through it and make sure the hole is clear. And then we'll pop that guy in there. Get our small screwdriver, make sure it's clean. We'll screw that down into place. Same thing with the other one, just snug. Doesn't need anything crazy. Okay, now we've got, oh, let's do this. Let's get my pick and we will change out those O-rings. And we'll be right back. All right, so we got the other ones off. I wanted to do that real carefully because I wanted to save them just in case. Now these are, I believe they're called nitrile rubber. These are a lot better for today's gasoline. They don't shrink and rot near as bad with the garbage fuel that we have nowadays. So we're gonna pop those on. You just stick them on there, nothing crazy. And when we go to insert that, what I'm gonna do, pardon me leaving here for a second. I never seem to have everything right with me when I need it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray a little bit of this on my finger. We don't want too much. Just a little bit of oil on there so those things slide in real nice. The fuel will keep them good. After that, pop those in there. Okay. And then this whole assembly basically just drops in over the top of that jet, or vent, air vent, whatever you want to call it. And you squeeze these guys in there. It should just kind of seat in. Those little O-rings are a little more resistant. It's possible that that's what happened to my bike, is that it came out because those O-rings were getting small and just basically makes them fall out. All right, so there's that. Cool. Okay, so what I did was I just used my compressed air to blow this gasket out of its little passageway so I don't tear it. And hopefully I'll have a backup if I ever need it. If I can get this out of here without destroying it, we'll see. It might be a good little backup. And we'll put a fresh one in here since this is pretty old. But it'd be nice to have a spare if we need it. You gonna let me have it or not? And it's trying. Yay! Okay, we got it out of there in one piece. All right, good. So we'll get the other one out. All we need is the gasket. We'll throw that back in there. Now one thing I want to check, I don't know, is there an up and a down here? Doesn't seem like it. Okay, hopefully I'm not doing this wrong. Oh, I see, it'll only, okay. So the way they printed this thing out, the only way it'll go in is one way. So you don't have to worry about it being upside down or anything. So I'll just pop that in there, kind of gently work it in. You don't want to influence it and smear it and stretch it. You want to just pop it in there. Oh yeah, that's going to have a better seal than the other one did. The other one was shrunk quite a bit. It wasn't leaking yet, but it probably wasn't far from it. Okay, so we got that. Let's see, we can put this guy on now, I believe. We got our jet tight. Whenever I'm doing this stuff, trying to show people how to do it, I don't want to screw it up myself. So we go like so. And we'll take our new screws, toss those in there. Let's see, I should have, let me grab a Allen wrench, get the right one. If I was smart, I would have that all prepped, ready to go for the video, but I'm not like that sometimes. All right, so we'll snug that down just a little bit. Try and bring them down evenly. Make sure that you're not, make sure nothing's hanging up, you know. It's just a nice little snug, nothing crazy. These guys just go. The way I do things like this is I try not to hold way out on the end of the Allen wrench. It can give you too much leverage. You just want a nice little tight, and that's it. Because you strip that out and you're going to be in trouble. All right, make sure you should be able to hear it moving around in there. Okay, so next thing we do, we pop our bellows or whatever you want to call it in here and make sure that it's not hanging up. Make sure the needle drops all the way down inside. Okay, so we're good there. You want to seat that all in. And then, where am I? Oh, I'm looking for the little O-ring. Okay, then we've got this little guy. If I can get it out without knocking everything else out. Ah, come on. There's a screw that I don't need out. All right, so we've got that. And this is the old, this is the new. The old one here was about to crack. It was just barely hanging in there, so that one's no good. And we'll put the nice new one in. Sets down there in that hole. Seals that. Then we will pop our spring assembly and cap. Make sure we get it the right direction so that the O-ring is sealing onto that little deal there. Okay. Pop our Allen screws in. And with any luck, we'll have a working bike here shortly. I think that's about it. So we've got a freshly cleaned, blown out carburetor with what we know to be good bellows, or whatever you want to call it, diaphragm. And we've got a brand new needle and seat. And we've got better O-rings on that needle and seat assembly. And we're pretty much ready to go back in the bike. So anyway, that's just a quick little tutorial on this for guys that have never done this stuff before. All this is just my plug. I just don't have a nice good plug for that thing. So anyway, we're going to cap this up and we're going to put this back in the bike and we should have a running vehicle. Thanks for watching, guys, and hope you appreciate the little tutorial. Have a good one.